Hello, this is a programme from the BBC Learning English archive. It was first broadcast in February 2011 on the BBC Learning English website. We hope you enjoy it.
This is 6 Minute English from bbclearningenglish.com.
Hello, I'm Yvonne Archer and Rob has joined me for today's 6 Minute English. Now Rob, put your romantic hat on and tell us, have you ever sent or received a love letter?
Both actually. I have sent one and I've received one as well.
And why don't you write love letters anymore?
Because there's not enough time.
Well, today we're going to make some time for love because we're talking about Wives and Sweethearts. It's an exhibition at London's National Army Museum. The exhibition includes letters from soldiers on the front line to their loved ones which date back over the last 200 years. But before we find out more, here's today's question, Rob.
OK.
In which year was the Royal Mail, Britain's postal service, founded? 1516, 1710 or 1780?
I would say quite a long time ago, probably 1710.
OK, we'll find out whether you're right or wrong later on. Now back to Wives and Sweethearts, the collection of letters at the National Army Museum. It aims to show us how army life affected personal relationships between soldiers and their wives, sweethearts and families. But Rob, what would you say is a sweetheart?
It's a nice word, isn't it? And sweetheart is quite an old-fashioned noun. So now we usually say girlfriend or boyfriend, but basically a sweetheart is someone we're sweet on. Someone we like a lot and hold dear to our heart. We're very fond of them.
So we might call a child a sweetheart or even a colleague who we really appreciate. So thanks for that explanation, Rob. You're a sweetheart.
And so are you.
Now, the letters in the exhibition were sent during the Napoleonic War, the Crimean War, World Wars I and II, and even during the conflicts we're experiencing today. So they go back as far as 200 years. Let's listen to some excerpts.
I do miss you so very much.
Shall we become engaged in a sort of distant way?
The number of words used in the first excerpt gives the impression that the letter was written a long time ago, doesn't it, Rob?
Yes, it does. And today we'd probably be more direct and simply say, I miss you very much. But instead we heard, I do miss you so very much.
Now, the second writer seems quite shy or unsure of how the young lady feels because instead of simply asking his sweetheart to marry him, he suggests that they become engaged while he's still away.
He suggests that they get engaged in a sort of distant way because he's far from home and can't propose marriage in person.
OK, well, let's hope she accepted his proposal and that they got married after the war. But of course, not all the letter writers were reunited, as Dr. Frances Parton, organiser of the exhibition, explains.
Some of them are very moving and quite distressing. Obviously, we've looked at all the aspects of a soldier's relationship, and sometimes that can be very, very difficult when it involves separation and, obviously, in worst-case scenarios, bereavement.
Rob, Dr. Parton describes some of the letters as very moving. What does she mean by that?
Well, basically, when we read them, they make us feel very emotional, perhaps even tearful.
And some aspects, areas of a soldier's relationship can involve worst-case scenarios.
Worst-case scenarios are situations that couldn't possibly be sadder or more dangerous, for example. And here, Dr. Parton is talking about the fact that in some cases, soldiers and their loved ones died.
Well, luckily, Caroline Flynn MacLeod's husband recently returned safely from a 7-month deployment in Afghanistan. They have a wonderful collection of love letters as a result, which are included in the exhibition at the National Army Museum.
Wow, they must be very different from the love letters written by soldiers hundreds of years ago.
Well, funnily enough, Caroline says they're not.
Letters begin with the declaration of love and how much one is missing someone, and end pretty much the same way, and also saying not to worry. And in the middle you have a whole sort of section about quite banal things. When I wrote to him, sort of everyday things to show life was going on as normal without him. And he wrote a bit about what he was doing, but frustratingly very little about what he was doing.
So letters start by saying how much people love and miss each other, and they end by asking each other not to worry. But the middle of the letters are quite interesting, aren't they?
Yes, they are. That's where the banal things are written, the most ordinary or even boring information about everyday life. But Caroline's husband didn't tell her much about what he was doing out in Afghanistan.
No, perhaps soldiers aren't allowed to send too many details home because of security issues. And of course, they don't want to worry their loved ones at home, do they?
No.
Well, I don't know about you, Rob, but I think I'm going to try to get to that exhibition and perhaps write a few more love letters of my own.
Good idea, actually. It would be good to get pen to paper again and not rely on email.
Exactly. Right, Rob. Earlier I asked, in which year was the Royal Mail founded? And you said?
I said 1710.
And you were around.
Oh, dear.
It was in 1516.
I am surprised. That is a long time ago, so think of how many letters have been sent since then.
Especially love letters.
Yes.
Do join us again soon for more 6 Minute English.
Goodbye.
That was 6 Minute English from bbclearningenglish.com.